Now we're going to discuss the Neuro scan, how to analyze brain function in relation to the posture system in 3 minutes or less. So we're going to get started here with the patient. What I'm going to do for the first step is check the PMRF with a posture check. We always do the Wade technique for posture analysis. I'm going to do it with the patient, but let me explain first. So with the Wade technique for posture analysis, the point is getting the patient out of active posture into real posture presentation so that we can see their baseline posture without extra utilization of energy. So I'm going to have her breathe in, breathe out, and as she breathes out, she's going to relax her shoulders. At that point is when I'm going to do the analysis. Okay, breathe in, breathe out, and collapse your shoulders. Good. Now from the side, I'm checking her postural presentation, looking for flexor dominant posture, which is an indication of PMRF dysfunctional posture. And then I'm going to come to the back. I'm still checking her posture from behind, but I'm also comparing her postural tone from the right to the left side, checking her paraspinal musculature of the spine here. And then of course I'm going to go to the front and analyze her posture from the anterior aspect as well, again looking for any indication of flexor dominant posture, which is going to demonstrate to us dysfunction of the PMRF or the pontomedullary reticular formation. Okay, great. Now I'm going to ask the patient to stick her tongue out. The reason we're going to do that is to analyze function of cranial nerve 12, which lives in the medulla. Stick your tongue out. Great. She didn't demonstrate any deviation, but what we will see is deviation to the right or to the left when there is dysfunction of that cranial nerve. Then we're going to have her stand on one foot. This is evaluating vestibular function, also cranial nerve 8, which lives in the pons. Okay, so I'm going to have you stand on one leg. Good. And what I'm doing is I'm watching for initial postural sway. You can relax. What we see a lot of time with patients is they'll lean to one side and then quickly to the other. What you want to look for is initial postural sway because the second side of postural sway is going to be considered compensatory. So look for the side of initial postural sway. Also, we can see here that she has really good balance. If you want to see the findings a little bit quicker with your patients, have them stand on one leg and close their eyes. Okay? Stand on the other leg. Great. Okay, and relax. Now we're going to check cerebellar function. We're going to check the midline cerebellum first and then the lateral cerebellum. So for midline cerebellum, it's going to be a typical Romberg's test. She's going to stand with her feet together, her hands by her side, and close her eyes. Now again, we're always watching for initial postural sway. So we're going to determine which way she sways for midline cerebellar dysfunction. And then we're going to check lateral cerebellum function. So hands here, and you want to make sure that the patient has their thumbs and their fingers together, and you're going to instruct them to move their hands as fast as they can. Good. And what you're looking for is any incoordination on the right or the left side. So the side that's slower, that's uncoordinated, their fingers come apart, that's going to be the side of lateralized dysfunction of the lateral cerebellum. Okay, now we're going to check the eyes. So first we're going to check the convergence of the eyes, then we'll check the range of motion or gaze stability throughout the cardinal fields of gaze. So I'm going to have her look at me, then she's going to look at my finger and follow my finger into her nose to converge her eyes midline. Okay, and together. Good, and relax. So that was really good because both eyes went central. What we see commonly with patients is they have a divergent eye, meaning convergence, they come together. Divergence means one of the eyes goes laterally. That's going to be considered the weak eye. She had good convergence, however. Now we're going to check cardinal fields of gaze. We're going to do a big eye circle. Okay? And you want to see the patient moving just their eyes, not their cervical spine. Good. And also, I can hold I'm checking cranial nerves 3, 4, and 6 while doing this, which control the extraocular muscles controlling the eyes. Now, I can also do gaze stabilization with the smooth pursuits if I want to, meaning that as I'm checking cardinal fields of gaze, I can hold that position for about 10 seconds on each side to get a better understanding of the fatigability of the cranial nerves and the musculature in each of those cardinal fields of gaze, okay? So now that we've just done that, we're going to check the motor cortex. How we're going to check the motor cortex is with muscle tests. So as I'm testing the right arm, I'm testing the left motor cortex, and vice versa. When I check the left arm, I'm checking the right motor cortex. It's a contralateral system. Okay, arm up. Now again, this is not, when we're doing a muscle test, this is not me versus her. This is me matching her resistance, and we're checking from right to left to see if there's any dysfunction. Okay, resist, Good, that's nice and strong. And the other. And resist. Very good. Okay, relax. So she was strong on both of those. Now what we're going to do is what's called the spinal push test. This is a test of the sensory cortex, the dorsal columns, which is a sensory system, ascending sensory system, plus we're going to localize the levels of postural instability. How we do this is by looking for anterior postural sway as I challenge each segment of the spinal column from C7 down to the lumbar spine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to instruct the patient not to fall forward, but not to resist my pressure either. So I'm just going to very lightly press on the spine and watch for any anterior postural sway. When I find levels of postural instability, what I'm then going to do is to check, because initially I'm putting pressure right in the center of the spine, I want to localize the sensory cortex to the right or to the left. So when I find a level of postural instability, what I'm then going to do is challenge on the right side and challenge on the left side to see if there's more anterior postural sway challenged on the right or the left. Let's go through that together. Okay. So I'm challenging each segment looking for anterior postural sway. And you can see that she's pretty strong with multiple. Good. So there's a little bit of anterior postural sway here. So because she swayed forward, what I'm then going to do, because my pressure was initially in the central of the spine, I'm then going to test just laterally to the spine. I'm going to test the right side. Okay, a little bit anterior sway there. And then I'm going to check the left side. Okay, a little bit more on the left side. So what that means is when I challenge the left paraspinal here, that's going to be the right sensory cortex. So we're checking the sensory cortex on the right side by challenging the left side of the spine. Now we know for sure that that would be a place that we would want to apply our treatment. And then we're going to continue throughout the rest of the spine here, looking, so a little bit of anterior postural sway here as well. So then I'm going to challenge on the right side, okay? Challenge on the left side, again, a little bit more forward with the left. Okay, finish checking the spine. That's great. So from that assessment alone, which takes under 3 minutes, I've just analyzed brain function in relation to the posture system. I have a very clear idea what's happening with the neurology controlling the posture system of my patient. I know exactly where to apply the treatment. So this is something that you can do pre and post with your patient every time they come in to make very specific treatment protocols.